Hi guys, welcome to my presentation. Myself Ajinsha. Today the topic of my presentation is hip joint forces and muscle function in stance. First we can see about bilateral stance. In erect bilateral stance, both hips are in neutral or slight hyperextension and the weight is evenly distributed between both the legs. In the frontal plane, during bilateral stance, the body weight is transmitted through the sacroiliac joints and pelvis to the right and left femoral heads. The weight of the head should be distributed so that each femoral head receives approximately 1/3 of the body weight. The gravitational momentum for the right and the left hip are equal. Assume that the momentum for right hip is dr and the left hip is dl. Because the body weight on each femoral head is same, that is WR is equal to WL. So the gravitational torque around each hip must be identical, that is WR into DR is equal to WL into DL. Calculating the joint compression in bilateral stance. For example, assume that the weight of the person is 825 Newton, so that the weight of the head must be 2/3 into 825, that is 550 Newton. Of this, half will be distributed through each hip. So, total hip joint compression at each hip is bilateral stance is estimated to 275 Newton. That is, total hip joint compression through each hip in bilateral stance is equal to 1/3 into body weight. Then we can see about unilateral stance. In unilateral stance, the left leg is lifted from the ground and the full superimposed body weight is being supported by the right hip joint. Now the weight of the non-weight bearing left limb that is hanging on the left side of the pelvis must be supported along with the weight of the head. The 1/3 of the body weight is found in the lower extremity including right and left leg. So the non-supported limb must account for the half of that is 1/6 of the full body weight. So the right hip joint compression can be calculated by weight of the head into body weight plus weight of the left leg into body weight. As a result, we can get 5/6 into body weight. For example, consider a body weight is equal to 825 Newton. By applying formula, we can get 687.5 Newton. The force of gravity acting on head and not weight bearing leftover leg will create an adduction torque around the weight bearing hip joint. The abduction counter torque will have to be supplied by the hip adductor muscles. We know that torque adduction is equal to torque abduction. By calculating, we can get abductor muscular force is equal to 1375 Newton. Now, this 1375 Newton or abductor muscle compressive force is now added to the 689.5 Newton of compression caused by body weight passing through the supporting hip. Total hip joint compression at the unilateral stance can be estimated by calculating abductor joint compression plus head of left leg compression. Therefore, total joint compression is equal to 2062 Newton. Calculating the hip joint compression with lateral lean. Let us assume that the person can laterally lean to the right to bring the line of gravity near the right hip joint axis. First, we had to calculate the head of left leg torque, that is adduction torque, is equal to 17.2 Newton meter. We know that torque abduction is equal to torque adduction. By calculating, we get the torque abduction is equal to 344 Newton. Therefore, calculating total joint compression, we have to add abductor joint compression and head of left leg compression. Therefore, total joint compression is equal to 1031.25 Newton. Now we have come to the important part of this presentation, that is, utilizing the cane ipsilaterally or contralaterally is the best. First, we can see the use of cane ipsilaterally. Here the cane is held in the hand on the side of pain or weakness. Really, around 15% of body weight can be transferred through cane and that does not create the adduction torque. When the cane is used ipsilaterally, some relief can be seen as compared to the total hip joint compression experienced by ordinary unilateral stance. By calculating, found that total hip compression with cane used ipsilaterally is 1691.35 Newton. But the total hip compression in ordinary unilateral stance is 2062.5 Newton. Here we can see the calculation of hip joint compression with the cane used ipsilaterally. Now we can see the use of cane contralaterally. Here the cane is held in the hand opposite to the side of pain or weakness. The forces are same as the cane used ipsilaterally, but the cane now is in position to assist the abductor muscles in providing the counter torque to the torque of gravity. The downward force on the cane acts through the full distance between the hand and the weight-bearing hip joint. The latissimus dorsi on the side of cane could account for the distance in compressive forces between classic calculations with the cane used on the contralateral side. When the cane is used ipsilaterally, there is some relief in pain, but the cane is used contralaterally, the 50% of pain can be reduced. When calculating the total hip compression with the cane used contralaterally is just 563.75 Newton. So that by comparing a cane used ipsilaterally, utilizing a cane contralaterally is the best way. So, as a therapist, prefer the patient to use the cane contralaterally. Here, you can see the calculation of hip joint compression with a cane used contralaterally. Thank you all for listening to my presentation.